In November 1998, Alexander and several other FSB officers that he worked with publicly accused their superiors of ordering the assassination of Russian oligarch Boris Berezovsky. Alexander was later arrested the following March on charges of obscene authority of his position. He was acquitted the following year in November of 1999 and subsequently rearrested, but once again was dismissed in 2000. At this point, him and his family fled to the UK and asked literally at the airport terminal to be granted asylum in the UK, where he could work as a journalist, publish the books that he went on to write, and be a consultant for British Intelligence Service MI6. While working in Lincolnshire, Litvinenko published 2 books with a friend of his, Blowing Up Russia, Terror from Within, and Libyaski's Criminal Group. Within, he accused the Russian Secret Service of staging the 2,000 Russian apartment buildings that actually did take place late 1999, apologies for that date correction, as acts of terrorism to bring Vladimir Putin to power. He also accused Putin of the ordering of the assassination of the Russian journalist Anna Pushkaya in 2006. I will flag up the actual spelling of that here. And all because of the fact that Alexander wanted to do the right thing and finally rid Russia of its corruption and of the fact that its leader wanted to carry on with that corruption and more power and everything. This is the reason why that it led to him basically in their eyes to be a traitor of the Russian state, and of course that is what led to him being targeted and unfortunately eventually being assassinated and killed by polonium 210. Okay guys, we're starting here. This isn't actually the chronological order in a way to start and that, but this is where I think is the most natural place to start. This is University College Hospital, or more affectionately known as, it is a very famous hospital, UCH. This is the hospital that Alexander Litvinenko was transferred to on November 16th, 2006. He was transferred from this hospital. Barnet Hospital was his local hospital where he'd lived in Muswell Hill, and that, but was transferred to UCH because it was a small specialized hospital and that. Now, I don't know precisely where in this building he actually was geography wise, but thanks to reading numerous books, I am aware that he was mostly in a sealed off room in Ward 15 in the intensive care unit. That was so that they could monitor him a lot closely and all of this lot and that. Then on November 18th, after he had been saying to the doctors he believed he had been poisoned by thallium. Thallium is another poison that has been used by the Russian government and that. The two Metropolitan Police men came to see him in just after midnight on the 18th of November 2006, and he initially gave them his British pseudonym name, Edwin Carter, but also said to him that I am a former KGB FSB officer, Alexander Litvinenko. In case you weren't aware, this is also the hospital that in fact Sasha did actually pass away in on the 23rd of November 2006. He did communicate with the police until then. And I waited until this point in the video, guys, because we're actually reaching the back of the building. And when I said that he was on Ward 15 in the intensive care unit, as you saw, I went into the hospital briefly, and I concurred from that lower part of the building, that's more the front end of the building that you saw first, that only goes up to floor 2. So I would call speculation, but it's a pretty good conjecture, that he was being Ward 15 on on floor 15, as far as I know, as well as being Ward 15, but I don't know that for sure. I believe he was in the back of the building, the very tall section that you are seeing right now. Now we're setting the scene for a couple of locations that are intermixed, guys, so keep with me and just stay with me when it comes to what I'm saying and what I'm showing you at the same time. We're focusing in on Piccadilly Circus because on the early afternoon of the 1st of November, Alexander travelled from his home in Muswell Hill, and he was meeting his first meeting with his Italian friend Scaramella. He met him at Piccadilly Circus. Now, Marina had actually told him, please don't eat a lot because we're going to have a special dinner later tonight to celebrate the fact that it's our 6th anniversary of when we came to the UK, and of course we're British citizens. He met Scaramella here on Piccadilly Circus, and he did want to have some food, so they went to one of Alexander's favourite places, Itsu Sushi Bar on Piccadilly Circus. And that Scaramella suggested Itsu, somewhere they could eat and talk quietly, and that so they went down to Itsu. He wanted to talk to Alexander because he had some memos that suggested possible corruption in his country, and he wanted his opinion on it. It turns out that it wasn't actually anything of the sort, but Scaramella wanted to be sure on this. But we're targeting this because the reason why Scaramella for a while was actually a possible suspect when it came to Alexander's poisoning, because they found high levels in the 2nd floor in Itsu's restaurant, and they believe that it could have been Scaramella that have poisoned him because of how high the contamination of polonium-210 was when the police went to scan it, and that with hazmat suits or whatever. Because what happens is, if you've been handling polonium, you'd be surprised of how easily it actually can secrete through your sweat. So it doesn't matter how careful you are or not careful you are, you can easily, as soon as you've been handling it, you will transmit it. And it's like, as soon as you've touched it, as soon as you've put your hand down on something and all of that lot, you can leave a trace of it, of where you've been. That's the one good thing about polonium-210 only having a half-life in that respect. So they came to the Thistle Hotel, which is this hotel, even though it's been renamed the Claremont. I assume it must have changed sometime between 2007 and now. I'm not quite sure when it changed its name. And they came here because Scaramella was staying here, and that to check if there was traces of polonium anywhere in his room or on his person himself, and that. But after a thorough look through his room and this hotel, they didn't find any traces of polonium-210, and that. So, as detectives asked in this whole investigation, if there wasn't any trace of it, what's the likelihood of him being involved? Very, very remote, if non-existent. But you may also ask, so why was Itsu restaurant contaminated? Well, it turns out that actually the table that Scaramella and Litvinenko actually sat at while they were having lunch on the 1st of November was actually a different table to the table that had the high levels of contamination on it. It was literally right next door to it. So detectives wondered if Scaramella wasn't the target, then who on earth could it have been? Well, they went back to Alexander's amazing testimony when he was in hospital being interviewed by them. He had another meeting later that same day, on the day he died. Yes, he told police, "So where did you go next?" "I went to the Millennium Hotel, which is now the the Belmont Hotel, part of the Hilton Group on Grosvenor Square. So follow me, guys, and I will show you where some of the streets that Alexander would have travelled from Piccadilly to the Grosvenor and inside that hotel." It actually does say on his plaque description that he's actually lost at sea. So sorry to say this, Wikipedia actually needs to update their information, because it made out that he was actually buried here, but no, unfortunately it says that he is lost at sea. So there was me thinking he was one of the few that they were able to recover. But I did wonder why so many of the ones that were recovered were buried in Canada and he was brought back here. So obviously not. No, the reason why he's marked here is because the grave in question has actually got many of his family members on here. So this is like a family grave because his family came from Liverpool. Presumably that was one of the many reasons why he might have sailed on the Titanic, because of course, as you will notice from a later video of mine, yes, the White Star Line of course did come from as in the headquarters was in Liverpool, but of course he sailed from Southampton. Yes, we are getting pretty close. Yes, we are just coming up to his grave now, I think. Yeah, it was a little tricky trying to find the exact one because as you can see here, these tall headstones, they're all quite similar in a way. So yeah, what I had to do is I had a photograph of from Wikipedia that I was lining up. So here we are. This is the Rowe family headstone and that and everything. So enjoy, guys. Apologies, guys, I don't want to give you conflicting reports, but the thing is, I've just done some more digging on the internet and it keeps actually saying that his body was actually recovered and buried exactly where I'm showing you now, which is what I was originally told. But as you can see further on, if you can either see it in the video, but you'll definitely see it in the still photos, it says lost at sea on his actual part of his plaque on here. So I'm sorry for the conflicting reports, but as far as I can tell, his actual bodily remains are actually interred in this grave with his family. me, sometimes I've had issues with having good descriptions, but sometimes I've never been able to locate any graves. And I thought for a split second when I came through these trees, and I'm at the end of it, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, where do I go now? Luckily, I did have some help. Yes, I did do my research, Phoenix. I got in touch with one of the local societies around here that helped me. And what do you know? I found her. Yep. So, to tell you the truth, does anyone else think that they need to trim these trees? Because you saw how much I ducked underneath that. So yeah, so just come straight up the thing, and as they told me, on the left. And I'm pretty certain, although I'm going to be very careful as I walk along here because this ground is a bit uneven, but luckily I was oh, I hate it when I do that. No, does anyone see that? The edge, I think that might have been a remnant of an old grave. I might have walked over. Oh, I do not like that. Yeah, now unfortunately, out of everything I always bring flowers with me. And what was the one thing I forgot to do before I left the house? Because I have always got artificial flowers at home. So, sorry Phoenix, I haven't got any flowers to leave here. But here you are. Here is the final resting place of what it sounds like to me, as you said, that book she wrote was a childhood favourite of yours. I definitely know what that feels like. I've actually visited a couple of authors that I have greatly admired. So here you are. Well, what I'll do is I'll stand back. So as you can see, yeah, it's a nice long headstone, and I have had it verified. This is Welsh slate. Good thing too, because if it had been white marble, would have been looking like these headstones. So since the wind's not too bad, in memory of George Darwin, KCBFRS, Fellow of Trinity College. Oh God, some of these words I can't read. Oh, Professor of Anatomy, born 9th of July 1895, died 7th of December 1912. And Maud, his wife, born July 26, 1861, died 6th of February 1947. Also, I assume it's Gwendola, presumably, but she was known as Gwen for short. Mary, yeah, that was her married name because she married a Frenchman. Their daughter, born the 26th of August 1885, died the 11th of February 1957. Fear no more heat on the sun, nor the fury winter's rage. Thus their world task has done, home has gone, and thus we rage. So, there you go, Phoenix. And once again, thank you for telling me about her. And I'm definitely going to try and get a copy of that book. What ideally I would like is I wish it was available in audio.
Hey guys, yes, as you've just seen, I got off the bus at the back of St John's College, walked pretty much the length of the way to Trinity, just like you saw in my previous video, and what you know, I've made it to Trinity Hall College and it is open for visitors. So let's go in, shall we?